is sealed off.
Hit redial. Go ahead. Take it.
Just redial.
You got to keep it.
No, she didn't know. Did you press redial?
Yeah, no, I haven't yet.
Press redial.
You're on.
I got one.
No range.
All right, cut off.
Busy.
3-1 Alpha, 3-1 Battalion.
6, send, dial.
Well, cell phones is out there.
Sorry, man. Sorry, I got blood on your phone.
Don't worry about it.
Anybody else got a phone?
What's the number you're trying to try?
631 226
I don't want to worry about
9595. What channel is that, pal? Is it live? 631-226-9595. Tell my sister I'm okay.
What happened? He was in the explosion. He was in the lobby and the third explosion, the whole lobby collapsed on us.
What was it like? What was it like?
Horrible.
Like hell. You don't want to know.
The whole building just collapsed on us inside the lobby.
Was that a secondary explosion?
Yes, it was.
That was the...
Yeah, definitely secondary explosion. But we was inside waiting to go upstairs, and on our way upstairs, the whole fucking thing blew. And we just collapsed on everybody inside the lobby.
Similar to the first tower coming down, secondary?
I don't know about the first one, but I know the second one it was terrible. Then there was a third one too after that one.
Third explosion after that?
Yes, sir. Everybody was inside the building, waiting to go upstairs. And they just let loose. Everything just let loose inside the building.
So what you tell me is that there was a plane or whatever hit the building, then a secondary explosion.
It was like 3 explosions after that. We came in after the fire. We came when the fire was going on already. We was in the staging area inside the building, waiting to go upstairs. And they exploded. The whole lobby collapsed on the lobby inside.
And it was just mayhem after that?
Just man, everybody tried to make their way out.
Just trying to help all the brothers get out.
A lot of people trapped inside.
I was sitting in the Brooklyn Navy on Folsom Brooklyn. We watched the first explosion. As we're watching the building, I saw a black, very large airplane fly right into the second building. It came out of the south, right in front of our eyes. Just, it was so surreal, like a movie set. Second and third explosions also, right? We were in the building for the third one. It collapsed. I was on this drive here for the other one.
Just trying to find your buddies.
Beg your pardon?
Everybody will make it.
I'd say like 50% of what units that were on scene.
So far,
A lot of people in that building.
Take off your jacket. Just trying to leave your way out.
Open up your jacket. You're going to dehydrate there.
People don't understand. There may be more. Any one of these fucking buildings could blow up. This ain't done yet.
This is on top of this. It could be no worse than this. Could be nothing no more worse than this. You're in the building trying to help people, and it's exploding on the inside the building. So I don't think it can get any worse than this. Tyrone Johnson.
What's up?
Flat Company 24.
So who are you trying to get a phone call to? I'll keep hitting redial.
My sister. 631-226-9595. Tell her I'm all right. Jimmy Grillo.
Again in the future as it continues to play out across America. Robert Knowles is on the phone with us now. He was on the 54th floor, I'm told, of one of the World Trade Center buildings when one of the planes was flown into it. Mr. Knowles, you're safely at home?
Yes, sir.
Could you turn down your television? I can hear it in the background, and that will cause us some problems if we continue our discussion. Okay. Tell me exactly where you were and what happened to you.
I was on the 54th floor.
Of number 1 building or number 2?
Number 1 building.
And when were you first aware of the attack?
Well, something hit the building, and it knocked me to the floor. And then the whole window blew out of the office I was in. And it snatched the desk out of the office like it was a piece of paper.
And how did you get out of that office?
By the grace of God, I was holding on to the door so I wouldn't be sucked out the window.
So they were, and
it was odd because I was filming the buildings, and every time I would put the camera up, it would just be the burning building. And then when I brought the camera down, people would jump. So, and it's not like I wanted to get them on tape, but I was basically, you know, somehow stopped from doing that. From, you know.
You saw it yourself.
I saw it. Yeah, no, I saw it. I saw a lot of people jumping from that front side, or from that east side, I should say. There was a hole in that tower. The one that I really remember is a woman. It had to be a woman because of her jacket. It was like a blue, like a real royal blue coat, and she just came down kind of straight, head first, with another guy holding her hand, and that's the one that I can remember. She yeah, they looked really, when they did come down though, I don't know, I just watched them. Couldn't take it, I just watched them come down. And they would, the speed at which they came down was so fast. I've never seen anything drop that fast. It was like, you know, terminal velocity, whatever you call it, but it was like everything else flies a lot slower than the bodies coming down. They were dropping. You could tell when they came down. But at that point, I never, you know, you just figure, from where I was standing, there's a facade, and they were dropping behind the facade. You know, they looked like they were at peace. They didn't look like, they weren't flailing, they weren't yelling, they weren't screaming. They were just floating, but fast. But that's the one, the lady in that blue coat, her coat was so blue. She was holding that guy's hand. I don't know, and there was a, there was another guy that did it off of the other tower. But he did it off the very top of it, just like launched. I couldn't believe it. He just like launched himself right off. Just full body. Like nothing even mattered, just did it. It's unbelievable. And that was it. And then I turned, after I saw that, after I saw that, you know, I just kind of went home.
A little bit later on this morning. Joining me right here, north of where Martin was just talking from, is Ron Saladino, who works for Solomon Smith Barney.
Yes.
Welcome. Tell us where you were when both of the World Trade Centers were struck.
I was on the 28th floor of number 7 World Trade, working in the southeastern corner.
Okay, now for folks who aren't familiar with New York, building number 7, or number 7, was in fact the building that collapsed much later in the day.
Yes, around 6 yesterday evening.
Did you see either one of these planes slamming into the North Tower or South Tower?
No, I didn't see any of the planes.
What did you hear?
At around 8:40, you heard a tremendous explosion, followed by what felt like an earthquake rumble. After that, immediately we looked towards the southern window and saw debris of building parts, glass, and metal shattered to the ground.
And what'd you do?
First I was stunned. I didn't know what to do. I had maybe one breath of air in the whole action. Dashed to the window, looked up, and saw a hole as wide as the World Trade Center, about 20 to 30 stories high, with flames pouring out of every end.
Everybody has had a different description of then, you know, how they reacted to that. Did you think you were doomed?
At that point, I didn't know what to think. I was scared for my life. It's something you hear about in other countries, but you don't really know what it feels like till it actually happens, you know, in the city you work, in the building right next to yours.
So tell us what happened from that point on.
From that point on, everyone seemed to be in awe, just staring at the giant hole in the Northern World Trade Center. We seemed to see bodies fly out of the window minute after minute in free fall, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 seconds, down to the death at the bottom.
Some of those folks were jumping from the windows because they were trapped. Some of them just forced out by the pressure of the explosion.
Mm-hmm.
So you're watching this from the window. You're
absolutely.
not thinking, I'm going to get out of this building because this building, if one of these other ones collapses, is going to be a gun or two.
Mm-hmm. At first,
are you surprised that you stood there and watched this thing rather than say, hey, I'm getting out of here?
Well, looking back at it now, it was just a blur in my memory. Eventually someone did say, let's evacuate and let's get downstairs. And initially, once that clicked in my head, I knew to, you know, run to the stairs and run downstairs as quickly as possible.
How long did it take you to get out of your building?
About 2 minutes. I must have ran down the stairs as fast as possible.
Yeah, we need to explain, that building was only how many stories?
48, I think, in total, maybe 47.
Say only. I mean, that's a massive building by anybody's standards anywhere else in the United States. But the other buildings dwarfed it. They were 107 stories. The most remarkable thing is hearing some of your colleagues across the street describing trying to get out of the North Tower and it taking over an hour to get out.
Yes.
Once you got to the street, what happened? Were you pelted with flying debris?
Well, initially when I got down to the ground floor, the second plane had hit the Southern World Trade Center. And again, people started to panic, people started to cry, people started to get away from the front lobby windows. After that, security guards then pushed people down the escalator, around the back entrance and up towards Greenwich Street, getting people as north as possible away from the incident.
And once again, a lot of folks might not be familiar with the geography of the city, but once you arrived at Greenwich Street, which is not too far from there, did you see either one of the buildings collapse?
Yes, I did. About 10 to 20 blocks up, I stopped to catch my breath. I turned and looked around, and the Southern World Trade Center began to just buckle, about 50 consecutive bangs, and it fell down like a waterfall. And after that, there was chaos in the streets. People didn't know what to believe.
Were people screaming? What were they doing?
People were crying. People were saying the city's under attack. People were mentioning that the Pentagon got hit by a plane also. I mean, that's when I almost started to get really upset.
You know what is fascinating to me is one of our previous guests was describing trying to get out from the midsection of the North Tower, and he said people were quite orderly. I mean, some of whom had been through the '93 World Trade Center bombing. That there was not a sense of panic until they got to the lower floors. And Martin Savage was just reporting about all the kerosene that firefighters were surprised to burn a number of victims on the lower floors, but they were inundated with water. A lot of the sprinklers had gone on the building, and that was the point at which I think people realized they were in trouble. Martin, I'm going to ask you to assist me here. This is really quite stunning to share with folks that are joining us right now. These are pieces of paper. From Cantor Fitzgerald, which I'm going to have you hold this from the brokerage firm. Singed, I don't know if the camera can pick this up, but singed pieces of paper that were blown out of the wreckage of the World Trade Center. And these actually showed up in the yard of one of our correspondents, Peter Stiles, I am told out in Brooklyn. So this
Wow.
stuff ended up miles and miles away. What do you know about the safety of any of your friends that have worked in the other two buildings? Are you missing friends at this point, missing colleagues?
As of now, I had no friends or coworkers who worked in number 1 and 2. There actually was an individual who worked on my floor that was hurt. He actually fell and broke his leg, but I found out that he's safe and okay with family and friends. So everyone else who I know of is safe.
You're a very lucky man, and I hope that ultimately you can erase some of these horrific images that you've shared with us this morning. Thank you, Ron Saladino.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time. And to go back to Atlanta, Miles is standing by with some more news.
Hard to say. There is a huge courtyard between the two World Trade Center
It looks like the whole top of Harlem might just collapse.
It might have been tourist.
Mr. Hess!
Watch out. Watch out.
Mr. Hess!
5 work.
I pass the word! I'll try and get word! I'll try and get word!
7 World Trade. I'm falling in. What floor?
That's Mr. Hess, Corporation Counsel.
What floor? What?
8th floor.
8th floor, 7 World Trade. 7.
Okay!
I'm falling in 8. Get you out of there.
Hi, my name is Barry Jennings. I'm 52 years old. I've worked for 33 years at one location. When the Office of Emergency Management did an activation, they always included our locale. And what they did was monitor the emergency. They actually coordinated the emergency through several agencies. I received the call shortly after the first plane hit. I got there. I had to be inside on the 23rd floor when the second plane hit. Upon arriving into the OEM EOC, we noticed that everybody was gone. I saw coffee that was on a desk. Still, the smoke was still coming off the coffee. I saw half-eaten sandwiches, and only me, Mr. Hess, was up there. After I called several individuals, one individual told me that to leave and leave right away. Mr. Hess came running back in and said, "We're the only ones up here. We got to get out of here." He found the stairwell. So we subsequently went to the stairwell and we're going down the stairs. When we reached the 8th or the 6th floor, the landing that we were standing on gave way. There was an explosion and the landing gave way. And I was left there hanging. I had to climb back up, and now I had to walk back up to the 8th floor. When I made it to the 6th floor, and there was an explosion. The explosion was beneath me. Keep in mind now, it's pitch black in there. All the lights went out. So when the explosion happened, it blew us back. I'm thinking I'm standing on the landing. I'm actually holding on to a pole above us.
Really?
And I had to climb back up because Hess is yelling, "What do we do now?" I said, "There's only one thing we can do, and it's go back up." Both buildings were still standing. Keep in mind, I told you the fire department came and ran. They came twice. Why? Because building Tower 1 fell, then Tower 2 fell. And then when they came back with all concern now, like, to get me the hell out of there. I was trapped in there for several hours. I was trapped in there when both buildings came down. All this time, I'm hearing all type of explosions. All this time, I'm hearing explosions. When they finally got to us, and they took us down to what they called the lobby, because I asked them, I said, when we got down there, I said, "Where are we?" He said, "This was the lobby." And I said, "You got to be kidding me." It was total ruins. Total ruins. Now keep in mind, when I came in there, the lobby had nice escalators. It was a huge lobby. And for me to see what I saw, it was unbelievable. And the firefighter that took us down kept saying, "Do not look down." And I kept saying, "Why?" He said, "Do not look down." And we were stepping over people. And you know you can feel when you're stepping over people. This big giant police officer came to me and he says, you have to run. I said, I can't run, my knees are swollen. He said, you're gonna have to get on your knees and crawl in. He said, because we have reports of more explosions. And that's when I started crawling. And I saw this guy fall behind me, and his comrades came to his aid. They dragged him to safety. I'm just confused about one thing, and one thing only. Why World Trade Center 7 went down in the first place. I'm very confused about that. I know what I heard. I heard explosions. The explanation I got was, it was the fuel oil tank. I'm an old boiler guy. If it was a fuel oil tank, it would have been one side.
On the 39th floor, Hong Zhu was still with Harry and the man they were helping, Victor, when the South Tower fell.
It gave the World Trade Center 1 the same effect, like it was hit again. And some metal stuff sticking out of the wall, and there was some visible structural damage. And then we said, we got to get out of here. Victor said, just to keep saying, I couldn't move, my legs couldn't move. Harry asked him if his heart was okay. He said, yes, his heart was okay. And then I shouted at him, just go, what are you doing? And at that time, I believe we were moving slowly. And it's about 36th floor. And we met some firemen. And one of the firemen looked at me and said something which I would never forget. And I'm grateful to this fireman for the rest of my life. I don't know his name even today. What he said is, who the fuck are you? Shouting at him. You, get the fuck out of here, now. And that was the moment I finally just left Harry, left Victor and the fireman, and just ran down. I believe I got out of the building and then walking towards the river.